Hey guys, Greg here. I'm back in Canada again, and we're in New Westminster. Well, not you, we. I'm in New Westminster. Vancouver, if you're not familiar with the area, that's on the west coast of Canada. And this is where we used to live. I've been here for about a month now, so I thought I'd make a video about the observations. And I think I've been watching too much maybe Casey Neistat or Tom Scott recently, so they do a lot of these talking to camera things. So I'm going to try doing that outside. So here we go. Now I've noticed many things and I have a whole laundry list of stuff to talk about, but one thing I kept on coming back to was this kind of basic level of service that I noticed in Japan that's not so present in Canada. You know what? Just now I bumped into a former work colleague of mine, a guy I haven't seen in over 10 years, and he said he visited Tokyo, and the big thing that he noticed was that people in Japan were so friendly and nice. And I was saying, wow, that's kind of interesting because it's kind of what the video is about today. And so in Japanese stores, in Japanese public life, there's just this kind of certain expectation of a quality of care, a level of interaction that is you can expect. And you don't always get it all the time. There are exceptions, but as a general rule, people are quite friendly. The service is quite good. The place is quite clean. That's just how it is. Now with Canada, that's not to say you don't get that. Look at over here. This is a beautiful place, and I meet tons of friendly service staff. People are really friendly, but it's more hit and miss, right? It's just, it's kind of up and down like this. You never know what you're going to get. In Japan, or in Tokyo, it's fairly standard. When I was traveling around, I took a few pictures, and I'll blur them out so we don't get people in trouble. But when I was walking around the mall, I noticed some service staff were drinking drinks, or looking at their phones, talking to coworkers, or kind of looking bored. The best example I have, and one I don't have a picture for, is my wife always finds this funny. She saw some firefighters and they're just going by in the truck, and the guys had ice cream cones in their hand and had "Serving with Pride" right next to it, and they're looking away, smiling, waving at her, and she just thought that was hilarious. But that's just kind of the difference, right? It's very casual in Canada, where in Japan it's a lot more formalized, your interactions. To simply put it, Japanese people, I find, just take more pride in their jobs than Canadians do. One example that I have is, how many times have you heard a Canadian, if you're Canadian or American, how many times have you heard that, oh, they're not paying me enough to do this job? Or you ask for help and they say, well, it's not my department, it's not my job, and that's how it ends. In Japan, people have specific jobs, just like in Canada. You have to do A, B, and C. But I think the big difference that I'm noticing here is that in Japan, your number one job when you're a service person, or not even a service person, is that customer, right? So it doesn't matter if it's your department or your area of expertise. If you don't know what the answer is, you go find somebody who does know the answer. And if the product you're looking for is over there, about 100 meters away, you walk the customer to that product and show them around. Now, you can get service like this. I think a good example would be in Canada. There's Safeway, and there's other grocery stores like Superstore, the real Canadian Superstore. And the difference is in that in Safeway, they would probably actually walk you to the place, whereas in Superstore, no, they're just going to point that way or maybe ignore you. But in Japan, I guess just that base level service, you can probably expect the Japanese customer service agent to walk you to wherever, no matter what type of store you're at, no matter how much money you're paying. I made a video called Tokyo by Train, and one of the popular comments was how clean the stations were. And I didn't really realize that because I think I got accustomed to it. So I'm traveling on the SkyTrain in Vancouver, and I'll just show some pictures here of what it looks like. And so yeah, I think that's a problem of perhaps not having enough staff to clean it, or that's not a priority to keep it clean. But I think it also could be a kind of attitude towards everyone else, to society at large, that is probably another key difference in the level of service you get, or the kind of just the standard of interaction that you have. So what I mean by this is that Canada is pretty much an individualistic society. If you compare us to America, we're very communist? No, I'm just joking. But socialism, right? My kind of feeling is that in Canada, if you can get away with something and nobody knows the better, then people generally do it, Whereas in Japan, that happens, right? But it's more like why don't you do something? And the answer would be, is that you're not supposed to do it, or nobody does it. Whereas in Canada, it's like, you don't do it because you'll get caught. In Japan, you're always thinking about how your actions affect another person, so that's how you interact. Now, that's not to say that in Canada we don't care about others. A nice example about Canadians is if you're going behind someone and they go through a door, they're going to leave the door open for you. They're going to hold it open. In Japan, you're going to get that door slammed in your face. Another thing in Canada is if you bump into somebody, most likely both people will say sorry to each other, even though they don't know whose fault it is. So there is a caring about other people in Canada, don't get me wrong. All right, different location. I actually ran out of time. So this is called the X channel. It's experimental, and I was trying to do a vlog. It was a nice, beautiful day outside. I didn't have lights for my room, didn't want to stay in there, so I decided, hey, let's walk outside and try the vlog. Didn't quite work out so well. So mad respect for all those people who can do this on a daily basis. It's not me. But anyways, the point I was trying to make was that coming back to Canada, I found the kind of level of service or the standards just to be a bit cruder in Canada versus Japan. And this is not only at the retail level. Restaurants are going to buy clothes, but even, with educational institutions, with government institutions, bureaucracies, it's more of a DIY attitude in Canada. So, I mean, if you can figure things out for yourself, hey, go ahead and do it. If you need help, you can ask. If they know the answer, they'll give it to you. If they don't, then, hey, they don't know. Figure it out yourself. But the one nice thing about Canadian service, or just Canadian people in general, is I think it's very casual. So you can, I think, get to know people better, faster. There's not that kind of barrier in between. So that's kind of nice. I mean, because you can just strike up a chat with a person like you're their friend. Yeah, so anyways, thanks for sticking around with me on this one. I really want to try this out because usually I spend a lot of time thinking about topics, and there's a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about, but I only had a couple hours to do this and a few hours to edit this, so I thought it'd be better to get a video up now than to not have anything at all. And I haven't had a video up on the X channel, a proper one, for a few months now, or a couple months, I don't know. So anyways, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side. It's a vlog, I get it, it's vlog. You don't have to tell me in the comments. By the way, one last little thing I forgot to mention, that's kind of a bonus thing about the differences between Japan and Canada. I always find myself going left when I'm going to bump into someone. In Canada, it's right, so I keep on almost bumping into people all the time because I'm veering left. So remember, when you're in Canada, veer right.